Happy Republic Day. This is Aditi, Raising World Children, author, founder, chief editor of this platform. I am here today to celebrate a wonderful day that rejoices in the beauty that is India. Lot of misconceptions about India that we are trying to dissipate, lot of misconception around third culture kids that we are trying to address. Most importantly, though, of course, if you have been following me, you have seen that I try to help people understand what the heritage and culture of our countries, how to help kids adapt them to the modern life, which is why I say I bring forth modern values and heritage together. All my books, be it the bilingual resources, be it the stories, be it the books for adults, they all talk often about how important it is to let our children understand what happened and what is our culture and what is our heritage is all a part of us, and there are parts of it that we can adapt to ourselves now. To understand how the celebration of Republic Day and the importance of Republic Day matters to our kids who are outside India today is what we're going to be discussing with Neha Jain, and she has so wonderfully accepted. Like most of my conversations with peers happen on lives for the first time, so I'm very excited. Sorry, I'm going.
Hello,
Hi, Neha. Happy Republic Day to you.
and to you too.
Before we get into the crux of what today is about, I would love to for you to tell everyone who you are, what you do, how amazing you are in your own words.
That's so sweet. So I have a background in teaching, in education, and from that, I love creating activities for kids. And I realized after living in Australia and having kids is that there are not that many resources out there to teach kids about language and culture. And I was like, I need to think about fun ways to introduce them to Indian culture and language. And that's basically how I started on the journey. At first, I used to do Facebook Lives where I would sing songs and like hold a play group. Started during like COVID time. And I would do a Facebook Live every week and we would like sing songs. And then I started my Instagram page last year where I sang lots of jingles for many different occasions. But now I'm also focusing on creating like different activities that are fun and easy to introduce culture. And just 2 weeks ago, when during the Harvest Festival, we did lots of activities that were fun, that were easy, that parents can do at home. So yeah, that's my journey.
Yes, and whenever Neha puts out any posts, I know it's going to be fun, it's going to be lively. And because she has young ones, they are often catering to the younger crowds,
Yes.
which is why I was very excited because Neha and I, since yesterday, we are talking, okay, what should we talk about? Because Republic, I don't live in India, she doesn't live in
No,
India, but we still
I
are
live in
so
Australia,
proud
right?
of, sorry?
I live in Australia.
Yes, sorry. She lives in Australia, and
Yeah.
I'm in USA. So, but we and a lot of Indians like us are so proud on this day and so excited to celebrate all that is India. And we were discussing, okay, what should we discuss today? And what? And Neha came up with the fact that we need to discuss something that makes is relevant to people today,
Yeah.
because we cater, most of us who are creating content today cater to raising awareness. I particularly cater
Yeah.
to helping people understand how to use heritage and how to make heritage relevant today. So it's not more about awareness, it's more about how to use whatever awareness is being created by wonderful people like Neha and how to adapt it to the modern life. And I thought, hey, why don't we talk about how the Constitution of India, which today is about, by the way, of those who do not know, Republic Day is a day where we celebrate the establishment of the Constitution
Yeah.
of India and how it is relevant today. So, really quickly, Neha, um,
Yes.
first, let's just talk about our memories of Republic Day, because I have stayed in India for a total of probably 4 years where I have had the experience of Republic Day. What about you? Have you ever lived in India, or have you ever thought of wherever you have been, have you celebrated it?
No, so I've never lived in India.
Okay.
But my dad was born there, so he's talked about what used to happen and the
Oh,
parade and like, hoisting the flag and stuff.
yes.
And I did do Hindi as a second language
Hmm.
in Singapore because I was born in Singapore. And
Oh,
so we
okay.
would celebrate Republic Day during and then I remember we used to have like the flag ceremony, so that hoist
Yes.
the flag, the Indian flag in the school. And we had like a pledge and stuff. And we obviously, in the books that we read about the different humans that had created this amazing things in India, like like
Yes.
Indira Gandhi.
Yes.
We talked about all these people,
Yes.
and how they helped India to progress in the way it has. So we talked about the leaders and stuff. Yeah.
Yes, wonderful. So for me, and this is very interesting. I'm loving this because you did not live in India.
No.
I did not live in India, and still we are discussing Republic Day, which is amazing. So
Yeah.
for me, I was born and raised in Kuwait. So there is nothing like Republic Day of India. Like it wasn't something celebrated or even acknowledged for that matter.
Yeah.
Whereas in USA now we have people who are actively hoisting flags, and which is wonderful, which is the beauty of life in USA. And
Yeah.
I'm assuming in Australia you do have that
Absolutely.
freedom. And my memories come up with those few years during the Gulf War when we were relocated to India. Unfortunately, I mean, living in India was not unfortunate, but that relocation was unfortunate.
I bet.
But yeah, I mean, I remember watching the parade on Doordarshan, and like my parents would go down, and we would all see someone, the community leader, usually the society uncle, whoever would be in charge, would
Yeah.
hoist the flag, and we would all sing the national song, and say, and in school, of course, if I mean, we didn't have school that day, but the next day, or when we used to say it every day. We used to learn about civics just like you. So it's so interesting to me that people who live out of India also are still, you have the same memories as I do, even though it's not the same experience. Uh,
Absolutely.
and but yet today, our children and get to see it. My kids see on social media, they see their grandparents WhatsApp, they get the videos, they see them live on YouTube, the parade happening, and and of course in USA we have our local communities that are hoisting the flag and are celebrating it, and we are having a function next week, I believe,
Oh,
where
nice.
people are going to be doing dances and all that stuff, which is cultural function.
Right.
Uh, and which brings me to freedom, because that is partly, and we can't of course go into the whole constitution, but I think the most beautiful part of the constitution, I think, which we can make relevant to our kids, is the freedom of
Yeah.
expression, the freedom of practicing your religion, the freedom of speech,
Yeah.
which brings us to languages, celebrations, and who we are. For you, since of course you've done a lot of fun activities for kids, what are, first of all, some ways that you think that we can celebrate this with the young ones? Let's start with the young ones first. What are some fun, quick activities that someone could do?
I think like freedom of expression, I think comes with like being able to, allow them to express themselves in the
Yeah.
way that they want to, right? So
Yes.
when they're young, I guess it's like, giving them like a piece of paper and like color pencils or any kind of art
Yeah.
material and letting them express that. Or giving them musical instruments, letting them express themselves through music. Or giving them puppets or like animals to create their own dramatic play. It's basically, the idea is to like let them have that expression and know that they're free to express themselves in any way they want,
Mm. Yeah.
whether that is positive or negative. I think, to
Yes.
give them that
Yeah.
space and to build that safe space at home, especially when they're younger, to know that when they're at home they can say, do, and be whoever they want to be, you
Yes.
know and then guiding them from that to be like, hey, now you've got this free space.
Yes.
Let's, if it's something that you would like to improve on, how can we improve on that
Yes.
particular thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And adding to that, for the older kids, as they get older, I would say, of course, they would express themselves in clothes, to elaborate a little bit on what you just said, uh,
Yeah,
to to try out different things, to try out different cuisines, to try out cooking different things. Because
absolutely.
this I've spoken a lot about in Strong Roots Have No Fear, my book for parents, is that the more we hold on to our own culture and heritage, the harder it is for kids to carry it forward because they're not growing up in the world that
No,
we are. But
it needs
the
to be
beauty,
made relevant to what it is today. And I think that
exactly.
I just want to say that your books
Oh,
definitely do that. I think that they're a
thank
great
you.
example of, and I do think that books
Yes,
especially are a
yes.
great way to learn how to navigate like freedom of expression and freedom of speech. When from when they're young, picture books, to when they're older and they can read about like the humans. And there are so many people who've made some amazing books that
Yeah.
talk about all these humans that are relevant and how they've navigated and what they can do, and which then gives them like this inspiration of how then they can voice what are some of the things that they feel passionate about, that they want to talk about, they want to learn more about.
That brings me to remember that Shakti Girls has a beautiful book
Yeah,
about
I was
women of
literally thinking
India.
about her.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we have to give her a shout out because that book is amazing. For
Yes,
those of you who don't know, it's a book for older kids, but it is a book of poems about women in India and what they have achieved and what they have gotten. And that's a wonderful book to read on such a amazing day
yeah,
because again for those who are just joining, we are talking about the how relevant the Constitution of India is today and how we can use the freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of practicing your religion and make it relevant today. Which brings me to languages because language is a struggle for a lot of third culture kids. It's easier for some,
yes,
it's more difficult for others,
yes.
which it can be tricky. So, what are your pro tips for the same?
So I think that a lot of the times the idea is so that they will speak in that language. So a lot of parents will be like, we're going to teach our child the home language, and they need to speak it back to us now. Now, if you're living in Western countries, that realistically won't happen automatically. It won't happen. It'll happen a little bit. They will say some
Yeah.
words, but they may not be fluent. They may not be speaking the language because they're surrounded by English, and so naturally they're going to gravitate towards that. It's just a natural phenomenon that
Yeah.
happens. And they will want to speak in English and they'll reply. But that doesn't mean they're not understanding you. If they can understand you and then reply back in
Mhm.
English, they've understood the language. They have the grasp of the language. And I think they should be free to be able to do that, because when you start being like, no, you now have to speak to me in this language, and then they're going to be like, well, I don't even want to learn it. I don't even want to hear you. I don't want to. And then
Yeah.
parents are just like, well, then it becomes too hard. So then parents start speaking in English as well, because they're like,
Yes.
well, my child's not really doing this. Whereas I think if you give them that freedom of space
Yes.
to be able to speak in English, and then you be consistent. You keep speaking in the language, and gradually, once they realize that it's not a chore,
Yeah.
and obviously, like, I'm all about making it fun. Make it fun
Yeah.
for the kids to want to learn this language, because you don't teach English ever when they're young.
Yeah.
It's just an immersion thing, right?
Yes.
You're talking in English and they're learning
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
They're surrounded by books, they're surrounded by words, they're surrounded by things, and that's how they're learning
Yeah.
it. And that should be the same for all languages, whatever
Yes.
heritage language you have. If you're going to be speaking to them, they should be hearing songs. They should be having, resources at home that have that
Yeah.
language print. Whether it's books, whether it's like art, whether anything to do with the culture, so that there's representation, right? And then they'll gradually learn the vocabulary, and then they'll start speaking to you. And if you want to make it fun, gamify it. I think for the
Yeah.
older kids, if you can be like, hey, if you speak a sentence to me, you get like 10 points. Let's
Yeah.
get to 100 points by the end of this
Yeah.
week. Like, do make it into a fun exercise, right? So
Yeah.
there's motivation for them to also want to, because then you're giving them that freedom of like, hey, we can do this, and we're not being judged if we're not saying it correctly. We're not being judged if we're not speaking it fluently. We're not being judged if we introduce some a little bit of English as we're trying to speak. Like, the idea isn't to be like perfect. I think that
Yeah.
that should be, we should let go of that. Is
Yeah.
more, yeah,
It's so important. And while I was trying to read a little bit before our chat,
yeah,
I was like understanding that, India, a lot of people think India's official language is Hindi. and India's official language is so and so. But the fact of the matter is, by the constitution doesn't even mention
Yes.
what official language of India
Right.
is, and that bowled me over because I was great because I actually thought that there were multiple languages. That was my understanding, but apparently the constitution says there is no official language.
No,
This
there
is
is
something
no,
that
because
has
there's so
evolved.
many.
Yes, it has evolved over time to India having 22 official languages, of which
Yeah.
English is the most spoken, which is again a misconception that people often think that people from India or of who've come from India don't know English.
Yeah,
But
very
English
true.
is the most spoken now, you know. In fact, most of the recent shows that I watch, a lot of them are like, oh, please teach the kid English, Hindi. Even in India. So,
Yeah, it's very true. It's very true.
And the beauty of freedom again, as we celebrate Republic Day of India, which is us honoring those who have made the freedom of this country and all of our freedom possible, uh,
Absolutely.
who all stood for secularism and the beauty of everyone practicing religion the way they wanted to. Uh, and I think it's so beautiful because I grew up in Kuwait. So I woke up every day with the azan. And then when I went to India, I was studying in a convent school. So we had proper, classes and everything. We were surrounded by nuns all the time. And I didn't have any, I knew I'm a Hindu because you're Hindu by birth. There's no like thing happening. But I started understanding what cultural things are after my mom reached a certain age when she had the time to practice religion. And that is so beautiful because today, when I celebrate, it is not because I was pressured into it. It is because I find the beauty and I came upon the beauty by myself every single day. And of course, everyone's path to religion and their spirituality is different.
Mhm.
But what is your take on the same?
So
And your own
I was
experiences also.
I was born in Singapore, so
Yeah.
I, like you, had a similar experience. So I grew up with celebrating literally all the festivals, because in Singapore you get a holiday for all the festivals. So Chinese New Year, Hari Raya, which is
Okay.
Eid. You get Diwali, you get Taipusam. It's like you celebrate all of them, right?
Yeah.
So you get to know, and I loved it. All, and I have like, back in Singapore, I had friends from all cultures, and that's how I grew up, and that is how I want my kids to grow up, because you want to learn and you want to be accepting of all the people that are around you. I think that's very, very important. In terms of like religion, I'm a Jan. So we learned about it, and I remember like the most fun part about my time with my dad when I was young is the fact that he used to tell us these stories, and he used to tell us stories. So he would like we would go for like a jog with him, and he would tell us the stories of these tirthankars that we have. We have 24 tirthankars, and he would talk about them.
Yeah.
And that is how I learned. It
Yeah.
wasn't you need to come and you need to like do this puja and all
Yeah.
that. There was like, here, let's learn about this in a fun way. And that's how I think like spirituality, religion, and all these things need to be, it's like you make them aware of all the
Yeah.
things that are around them, so that they
Yeah.
can learn how to accept. And then, like you said, they decide. And like I did, I chose the path. I'm more spiritual than I'm religious.
Yes.
And you choose the path of where you want to go,
Yeah.
and how you want to lead it. And I think that should be given, that freedom should be given. It shouldn't be indoctrinated in them.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be made into let's divide, and this is, we are better than others.
Yeah.
This I'm not at all about that. It's like
Yeah.
we all have our own space, we all respect each other, and that's how it should be. I think we can celebrate all sorts of things. I mean, like like, if you use Diwali as an example, like Hindus celebrate Diwali for a very different reason in comparison to why Jains
Yes.
celebrate it. We celebrate
Yeah.
because our Tirthankar had Nirvan, and but then
Yes.
Jains, Hindus celebrate because of Ram, and then
Yeah.
some people celebrate for Krishna.
Yeah.
There's like so many different things. But I think the beauty is to learn about all the different things and to have that freedom to be giving your child that awareness and the knowledge. I think that is the most important thing, because if you give that, if you give them that, then they'll be like, oh, okay, cool. These are all the things that we can learn. And this is all the things that, my parents have taught me about this religion,
Mm.
whatever religion they're growing up in. And then they can be like, this is what I want to do. And this is where I want to go. And this is how I want to lead it. I think that for me is, I think, the important thing.
I know it's so interesting because I got a book from the library, and often you get things, and like during Eid and all that a few years ago. Now my kids are pretty much they know things, but I used to get books like Eid. books, or Ramadan books or whatever, so that they're just aware. Because
Yeah.
just like when I was growing up in Kuwait, even though I was living in Kuwait, I didn't interact with Arab people so much. It was more the Gujarati community and the Jain community that we were more surrounded by.
Yep.
And now again, it's similar. We're more like in the Indian community, and the kids have their friends. I mean, their groups are much more diverse than mine are, to be very honest. But I
Yep.
want them to be aware of, what Eid is, or what.
Yeah.
I myself didn't know a lot of Jain things. It was when I worked on a Jain, I edited Jain author's book, and I was like, oh, okay, these are like, this is like a proper thing. And then I did my research, and then I really got into it, because it was like, because I love learning about stuff. And I think
Yeah.
the more I learn about other religions, is I understand my own religion even more, I
Oh
think.
my God.
And
And I
that is
think this
something that,
is the key thing. I think
yeah,
this is, we need to pause here
yeah,
because actually the building from a very young age, if you're talking about like freedom, building the freedom to
yeah,
learn. I think if you can do that, if you can instill that in your child, like
yes,
just go and learn, that's it.
yes,
You've
yes.
done your job. Now they
I
will
should
go
have a
out
sign
and they
when
will
I
go for
do this.
yeah, like literally, like as long as you can teach them how to be like to learn, to enjoy learning, because
Yes,
then like you said, you grow so much.
yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted you because I thought that was like
No, but
that's actually really the gist of
I think
this.
I think that's the beauty, because when we are talking about Republic Day and the Constitution of India and what all of that means, it simply means all of us taking pride in the freedom that we have been gifted, to be
Absolutely.
honest. Because things could have been very different
Yeah,
even now, but no, we have all worked
absolutely.
hard towards it, and everyone constantly does. And unfortunately, I mean, we cannot not talk about it, is that there are parts of the world right now that could use that kind
Absolutely.
of, freedom,
Freedom.
and,
Yeah.
access to opportunities and privileges.
Oh,
And when
absolutely.
we have it, it's so much more important for us to, acknowledge that this freedom that we have, and the safety that we have in this, and I'm getting emotional,
Mhm.
but anyway, we are. It's just so important. I
Also, I think
digressed,
as
and
women,
I went. My head went
yeah.
in the wrong space. Sorry,
No,
but
it's okay, but I think also as women, right? They to be free
yes,
is such a big thing, and
yes,
to give that to especially if you have a daughter, to be
yes,
giving that
yes,
the ability to for them to be free, for them to be able to raise their voice, for them to be able to say, "Hey, actually, I don't like this." It is the biggest gift you can give
no,
any child,
it is.
female or male, more so for females because females for a very long time have been not been able to say
I
say
am
light in what they
sorry,
want.
but that is just true. And it is so much more important for us to make the girls understand that
Absolutely.
uh, that when they have this freedom, it again, they cannot misuse it. And I think,
Absolutely.
just touching upon like in the end of this conversation, which I think is a beautiful, you've said, for the freedom, for kids to understand what freedom means, they need to be willing to learn.
Yes.
Let's like quickly touch upon the misuse of freedom, and the misuse of our freedom of expression, or freedom of religion, or freedom of languages. um, I would love for you to just give me three examples where you think that people often misuse these things, where it could be like, it may be inappropriate, or we can maybe teach our kids to not do something so that they don't offend others. Do you have any thoughts on that?
This is great. I literally thought about only on the positive things. I think it's more bullying. I think would be the one thing. I think like
Yeah,
freedom. You have the ability to be able to say
yeah,
anything that you want to say, but you need to know what you're saying. And I think like I'm all about like speaking with kindness, and that's what should be coming out. And even in Jainism, it's all about
yeah,
non-violence in thought, word, and deed, and that's literally you're teaching the children to not hit. You're teaching the children not to say mean things to people. You're
yes,
teaching them to not bully. And I think that's important. Like you can have freedom of speech, but you got to use it properly.
yes,
You can say things, but how are you saying it? I think the
yes,
how is an important thing too. And as parents, our job is that, right? Guiding them in the how and showing them how to do it in a kind way, in a
yes.
beautiful way. And then, there's more freedom, I think, in that way.
Wonderful. And I think that's a beautiful wrap to this, because I truly believe, and this is that you have the freedom, uh, and this is for you, me, and everyone who's watching. And I hope that everyone who's watching it does talk to their children today, especially about it. Talk to your kids about the symbols of India. Talk to them about the languages of India, states of India, the problems of India, the achievements of India. But also talk about how to use the freedom and in a proper way, because we often see people taking freedom of speech or freedom of other stuff a little bit off tangent,
100%. Absolutely.
just in the way they are
Yeah.
doing it. And
Yeah.
we that is where I think bullying stems from. And I think you
Absolutely.
said that one thing beautifully, that to stop bullying, I think we just need to, and I think that, if we just explain to our kids, hopefully repeatedly 15,000 times a day, that
Absolutely.
that when you're doing something,
And
do
also,
it
like, you
kindly.
you role modeling it, right? Even if you're not just telling
Mhm.
it to them, if they
Yes.
see you being
Yes.
kind, if they see you doing the kind things, they'll learn.
Yeah. If they see you, again, coming back to just like summarizing it, if they see you respecting other people's religion
Absolutely.
and not judging anyone, if they see you respecting another person's choice of food or way of life, and if they see you respecting whatever choice anyone makes, with whether you agree with it or you don't agree with it. If you don't agree
Absolutely.
with it, be even more kinder, because
Absolutely.
you can, I mean, okay, let me just put this out there, because people think, oh, you shouldn't judge. We all judge because we all have different ways of thinking.
Absolutely.
But again, how are you putting that across? Are you
Absolutely.
being judgmental and pointing
Yeah.
fingers? Or are
100%.
you giving the person space that, okay, fine, that's your thing. That's okay. That's your choice of life, and this is mine. And I think that is the crux of celebrating freedom, because, like the famous quote or the famous dialogue is, with great power, and I would say
Comes
with a
responsibility.
large amount of freedom comes a lot of
Yeah.
responsibility.
Yeah.
So I hope and pray that as we celebrate today with our
Yeah.
children, I know Australia, the day is going to get over soon, and we are just going to start
Oh
tomorrow.
no, no,
And
it's nearly 1 o'clock, so we're halfway there.
yeah,
We're
you're
halfway
halfway
there.
there. Because I'm like so congested, I can't understand, I can't grasp time at this point of time.
It's all good.
But
I
thank
think
you so
you're
much.
16 hours behind.
It's okay. It's okay. We're talking right now. And this
Yes, we
this
did well. We did
conversation
well.
about how the constitution is relevant to children living outside India is very important, I believe, even if I do say so myself, for parents to be aware of how they can help their kids understand the value of this day and the joy that this day can actually provide, and how they can be good citizens, because that's all it's about at the end of the day, is
Absolutely.
how we can be better citizens
Yeah,
of
of the world.
the country we're living in, while respecting our own heritage and culture, which is
Absolutely.
beautifully secular.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so
Yeah.
much,
Thank you so much
Neha.
for
And
having me. It was great
yes,
fun.
yes, yay! I love doing the lives, but I'm very bad at being consistent with them, and I have no shame in admitting it. But I love them because I love the energy we all bring it, and I know that everyone I talk to is always so amazing. Uh, Guys, if you are not following Neha already, you are missing out. You need to be following her,
Oh,
especially if
that's
you
so
have
sweet.
younger kids, because she is full of information, and she's a treasure trove of fun activities. So you need to be following her.
Thank you.
And oh, of course. And
And yeah,
we
obviously, for all things and books and stuff, please follow Aditi because she's got
thank
some great
you.
ones. I
Thank
have like
you.
a few of her books.
Oh, really? Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, I do.
Well,
I do.
yeah, if you are celebrating the Republic Day of India, wishing you a very happy Republic Day,
Yeah, happy
and please,
Republic, everyone.
please share in the comments on how you are celebrating your day today with your children, so that we
That's a good
can take
one.
a lead from you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, please share.
Bye.
Bye.